Hi, I'm Susan with the Connext Exchange, and we are here today to continue the conversation with Rebecca Desjardins because she just held a very interesting conversation called Colorblind, the Privilege of Choice. And we are here now to have some words about what you thought of, why you brought this conversation to the group and, what you thought of the conversation that ensued.
Sure, thanks so much. I think that, this is something that over the last year, with the murder of George Floyd, I've been launched on this personal journey around race and history and learning and unlearning things. And I think building toward a direction to do some work in this area and hopefully help others open a door to learn. And I think what I realized for myself is that, being a white person, I was just oblivious to certain things that are faced by people of color and Black people specifically. And I was brought up to be a good person, and that colorblind was one of those kind things. And in the year that has passed, I've learned for myself that being colorblind is a little bit short-sighted, a lot of bit short-sighted, and that I had a choice to see or not see color, really including my own whiteness, which was a really interesting discovery, and just kind of felt like it was time to start sharing some of the things I've realized for myself at the beginning of this journey.
Yeah, and I've been following you on the journey. I know how important this has been to you and how much it has touched your heart. So it was wonderful to have you bring this forward as a conversation that can sometimes be very difficult. Sometimes it's very easy to put those blinders on and just stay in that comfortable spot of, well, I'm okay. Like you said, I'm a good person and I mean well, and we do, but there's more that we can do. And I think that was great that you brought some of those challenges or questions to the group, and they responded very well. Were there any special insights that you gained from what you heard from people?
Yeah, I think I was just, I don't know that I was surprised, but thankful that people chose to participate and maybe sit a little bit in the discomfort and talk about something that for a segment of our population is not something we talk about a lot. And again, I'll say specifically white people, certainly not all white people, but we live in a country where whiteness is centered. So you listen to the news and it's two Black men or a Mexican woman, but you don't really hear a white man or white woman. So it's because that's the norm. So again, we forget that we have a race and an identity because we're normalized. So again, there's that choice. We can avoid this conversation. So it was nice to see people sit in the conversation, sit in the discomfort, and think and really share candidly about some moments where race was brought front and center in their lives. And it feels like a small thing, as a 39-year-old last year, it seemed kind of embarrassing. And I felt stupid to be realizing or learning some things for the first time. But I'm thankful that I'm finally on the journey, and hopefully the conversation cracked a window of interest for other people to dig a little deeper too.
Yeah, I think that that's so true, that we're really all on a journey and we can choose to hop on and really take a look at, where those blind spots are and continue to learn. If we look at it as something to be feared, then we're going to resist stepping in where it is uncomfortable. And, you're right. People did step into places that would normally be a little bit uncomfortable to share. And they did so with the desire to really be seen and heard and learn and come together. And, something that dawned on me is that, the more I'm aware of those blind spots, I embrace them and I step in saying, okay, I'm not a bad person because I had the blind spot, but I need to do something with it. Once once I've become aware of something that I wasn't seeing before, then I have a choice, like you said, to step in and do something. And, you know, we can work on that together. And I think that that's really what happened in this group is it allowed people to have that voice and say something, and hopefully they continue to go on that journey, because the more we see, the easier it is to recognize and do something.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, you know, and obviously I'm biased, but Connext is a great space to share and dig a little deeper in yourself in the company of others. But that blind spot piece, you know, apply that to anything and everything. We as individuals, regardless of race, we center everything based on ourselves and our own experiences, and that's just human nature. So the invitation is really to look around off of your normal track, your normal trail. I had also shared, you know, if you don't know what it's like to be attracted to the same sex and what struggles come up with that, or feel like you are a different sexuality, you know, or you have a disability or any of these things, to just go out of your way to really consume and learn about other people's experiences. And maybe you can't act on everything. You know, it's not possible for every human to know about everything or experience things firsthand. But the more you go out of your way to be aware of other people's stories, triumphs, and challenges, you know, the more empathy you can have, the more you can consider things when taking views and positions, even right up to the ballot box, right? I mean, and to your point, like once you see, you can't unsee. Once you know, you can't unknow. So then what do you do with it?
Right. Yeah, that's so very important. And you know, it is something, once you start seeing these things, I remember it asked a question, or somebody asked a question, when did you actually realize or recognize that you were a certain color? And I remember back when I was little, it wasn't so much that I recognized my color, but I'm old enough to remember when Crayola had crayons that were flesh colored.
Mm-hmm.
And today it makes me cringe, because what does that mean? That means that there's only that one shade. And, you know, they've corrected it, of course, but I'm old enough to know, I'm old enough to have had those crayons. And that's what normal became. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, when you go out of your way to understand other people's stories and experiences that don't look like you, that don't have life experiences like you do, then you begin to realize that normal is very different. You know, it's not, normal isn't something that is static, really. And when it is static in our minds, then there can be that sense of superiority, or better than, or worse than, whatever that might be. And that really pulls us apart. And that's not really what we're here for. We're here to come together.
Right. Right. And race in general, I mean, that's what it is, a social construct designed so one group of people can be superior to another. And even, you know, we may both identify as white women because in our society there's a box that we check or that sort of thing. But you and I are different shades. Like these big, broad groupings do not even begin to tell the story of the human experience or honor our individuality and culture and ethnicity and background. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, it was such a rich conversation, and it's one that needs to continue for sure, not just in this video, but beyond. So what is something that you would recommend people to do? What would be a great takeaway for them to either start doing or continue or expand upon what they might already be doing?
Yeah, I think to just continue to challenge yourself, continue to look around and continue to listen. And just, you know, I kind of went on a listening campaign this last year and continue to do that, but listening to voices that may not be in my day-to-day routine or day-to-day experience, and listen as much as you can without judgment, and sit with what you hear and go inside instead of going outside first, and do the internal work of just unpacking what you've heard and how it made you feel and how it compares to what you've experienced and how it resonates in your head and in your heart. And there are so many resources out there, so much history that is missed or can't be covered in schools. So go Google, go follow some organizations that are involved in racial justice and social justice. There are a great number of books. A couple that were really invaluable to me are Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad, and Waking Up White by Debbie Irving, just to name two. And Cast by Isabel Wilkerson is a beautiful read that combines a ton of history with personal stories. But again, there are tons out there. There are videos and YouTube channels. The King Center puts out amazing content. So go Google, challenge yourself to learn something new and listen to a new voice and see where the journey takes you.
Yeah, and the journey will take us all far, for sure. There's a lot of information out there. And because of that, because there can be information overload, as you know, what is a great way to get in touch with you specifically? Because I know people, when we have questions, it's great to rely on someone who's taken some steps on the journey and can bounce some ideas off of. How would people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I welcome the conversation. Again, I am so new and early on this journey, and even to people that I've talked with that are decades down the road in this journey, there's something new every day, and there's always something to explore. So if you're interested in chatting, reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm on Twitter, and we can include that in the description. But I would be happy to chat and recommend some of the other resources that have resonated with me. I'm happy to chat with anyone as a student myself.
Well, thank you so much for sharing in the group and as well today. And certainly people can find you every Thursday in our conversations. We host our weekly conversations at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time for an hour. And you can stick around for 30 minutes of casual conversation beyond that conversation as well. And we look forward to seeing you again. Join us each week, Thursday, 11:30. Connext Exchange, and we'll see you soon.